As he closes the book on another school year, science teacher Jason Bradshaw knows that the problem that has defined education and his life over the last few years likely won't go away by September. Teacher shortage.
The more people who aren't in the building on a given day at a given time, the more it overextends the rest of us. Somebody else needs to lose some of their prep time when they would be preparing for their classes or grading papers.
Principals are seeing it happen too, every day.
I want to be really clear. It's a crisis in Ontario right now. We see library, music, gym, all of those things need to be postponed or canceled so that the homeroom classes can be covered.
According to a survey done last year by organization People for Education, 24% of Ontario elementary schools and 35% of secondary schools were short on teachers on a daily basis.
And it's not just in Ontario. At the start of the school year, the province of Quebec was short more than 8,000 teachers. Most of those spots filled by not yet certified teachers, in some cases, even parents watching a class.
Do you need some help?
Families say they're bearing the brunt of it. Catherine Korakakis, a Montreal mom, had to pay for tutors out of pocket.
They spent a chunk of the year with teachers that were not qualified to teach the subject. So for instance, it wasn't a math teacher who was teaching math. It wasn't a French teacher who was teaching French. So what happens then is that you have learning losses, right?
In Surrey, British Columbia, Anne Whitmore says the revolving door of supply teachers makes it hard to learn.
How do you learn in an environment where you have no continuity? So one teacher might be very strict and one teacher might be very fun, and then there may or may not be a lesson plan left, and so they're trying to scramble and have some kind of educational content, but really they're just getting through the day.
So why is this happening? Well, experts say it's not so much attracting new teachers into the profession that's the problem. It's keeping the ones who are working now, and they're leaving in droves because of burnout.
In New Brunswick, Jadine Christ left teaching after a single year, a year she calls the most stressful of her life. She says she was subjected to violence and harassment by her high school students with little recourse or support.
We had students figuring out loopholes so that they could look at pornography on their in-class iPads. We had a few students who threatened my life, one of which needed to have their locker searched for weapons.
She's not alone. Canadian Teachers Federation conducted a survey of its 365,000 members. Close to 5,000 teachers, principals, and teaching assistants responded. 55% reported experiencing violence or aggression in the past year. 77% said student needs have become significantly more complex compared to 5 years ago.
Overwhelmingly, it's the working conditions. There is not so much a shortage of teachers. If you look for them, there's a lot of certified individuals in most of our provinces and territories. But the working conditions mean that people are leaving.
And a problem with that many causes needs many solutions. In places where teacher salaries are low relative to the cost of living, like British Columbia, some have floated the kinds of strategies used to attract doctors and nurses.
I know it's been tried a little bit in our province to provide some incentivized signing bonuses, pre-employment signing bonuses. But again, that doesn't fix the issue. The issue that is causing the shortage is the fact that the working conditions are not sustainable as a 35-year career.
What Ontario should do is invest more money into staffing for schools, says this principal.
We're looking for new funding and more funding so that we can support these diverse needs that kids have.
The province is adding 2,600 new spots for teacher candidates at universities and, according to a document obtained by the Canadian Press, is contemplating shortening teacher college from 2 years to 1, all in an effort to flood the system with new teachers in the next 2 years.
If we were to move from a 2-year to a 1-year program, we would have to end a lot of the additional instruction that prepares teachers for the new challenges in terms of mental health, in terms of technology, artificial intelligence, students whose first language is not English or French. So what is the first standards of practice? Does anybody have
In Professor Hutchison's class at Brock University, stressful realities of being a teacher are talked about, but there's plenty of hope to go around. The system's desperation has bred opportunity. These aspiring educators are already getting calls to work as supply teachers while they're still in school.
And you're hit with the reality of, not every day is going to be perfect, and that's just the reality of things. It was kind of like being thrown into the deep end, but it was also a good way for me to realize this is still something I want to do.
As for Jason Bradshaw, he wishes society and government felt the kind of respect for the teacher's calling that he still has. He wants teachers' salaries to keep up with inflation and for education ministries to make it easier for teachers to move from one area to another without losing seniority.
Clearly, many of your peers have left and felt that it was too much. What's making you stay?
I love what I do. I feel a sense of that I'm doing something rewarding, and I know that what I'm doing is making a difference to the lives of my students.